This is the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro. It's fast, it's snappy, and it might genuinely be one of the best marathon racing shoes of all time. But it's also telling you a lie. So what I want to do today is have a chat about why I think this shoe is the best marathon racing shoe that I've ever ran in my life, ever. I'm going to get rid of one of these. I feel like two is kind of, I'm waving them about. I'm waving them about so much. So this shoe. So to explain why I think it's so good, it's probably worth me going through some stats, but I also want to put a disclaimer that this video is also going to be my analysis on running shoe reviews within this running shoe review. So I'm going to need you to bear with me because there's definitely shoeception going on here. So the shoe is online on the Mizuno website for £200. It's 224 grams. Fit wise, these do fit true to size. However, I bought these in an 8.5 and I'm normally a men's 8. Now I found that half size up wasn't detrimental, but I also did feel the room. And it was kind of the exact amount you'd expect to just half size up in any old shoe. And there was just that little tiny shift either between the heel or the toe. I could live with it, it was fine. Runners not, get a good lockdown, and I never had a problem on race day. Only on a couple of longer runs where I probably was quite lazy about lacing up. What, me? Lazy? I would never be So this shoe also has a carbon fiber infused plate in, and I think that's a nylon plate infused with carbon fiber. Now I'm going to correct myself if I'm wrong wherever I'm putting these stats, but it's definitely not a carbon plate, and weirdly you can tell, and weirdly the sensation is definitely different. And weirdest of all is I think that maybe I like it more. Another stat worth noting is even though the shoe is £200, I got this majorly cheap. I got a New Year's Day deal on this shoe and I got it for £80, which is insane for a racing shoe, for a carbon fiber shoe. That's nuts. I don't know how I did it. I saw it on the Running Shoe Geeks subreddit and I was sorted from there. So it was a must at that point and I had no choice but to buy it, unfortunately. And I had to justify that to everyone around me who told me, Alex, you've got a major problem. Please stop. We're worried about you. We're going to put you in a running shoe home. So how is this shoe lying to you? Let's have a look at it. You've got 33 here and I think 38 or 39 in the back of the shoe. What this shoe isn't telling you is this bit here, which comes, according to my measurements, to 51 millimeters of stack, which is absolutely nuts. That is a seriously high shoe, even for a super trainer, even for whatever, that is high. That is talking Primax Strong 1, 2, that's talking that crazy unreleased Nike, super crazy, ridiculous stack shoe. This is that level of insanity there. So how do they get away with this? Because this shoe is marathon legal, but 51 millimeters is way over the maximum marathon legal shoe height. So what's going on? Well, actually, it's where they measure it. So World Athletics take their measurements about here and I think about there. And actually, you can see that at those 2 points, it's nowhere near as outrageous as this crazy ass middle bit here. And I think that that is some cool thinking that I like. And I want to see more of that in more shoes where they are really pushing the boundaries. And they are really doing something that is unorthodox and weird. And you know what? It's a risk. Sometimes I feel like running shoes can just feel like safe. Safe is fine if you're not pushing for your absolute best. You're just running for fun, you're running on your own, and that is amazing. I love running for fun. But there's a lot of people out there who are running to break their PB. They're running to become an elite. They're running to become a sub-elite. They're running for school. Whatever the answer may be, they need that next step in footwear race engineering. And so those gains however marginal, are the kinds of things that can take someone from one point in their running journey to another. Everything about this shoe is balance, right? And I think that balance is totally at the core of this shoe, and it's almost like the scales of judgment, where you've got all these different components of this shoe, and it comes out to be this really weird, funky looking thing, but actually it's so finely tuned, and when you wear it on foot, it kind of feels like that as well. And it proves that pushing to look at new things, pushing yourself maybe as a brand, pushing themselves with their philosophies and against their competitors, brings something really interesting out, and that is exactly what's happened. So this is the diamond in the rough. One of the major points of balance then in this shoe is the major balance between aggressiveness, which this shoe absolutely is. I mean, it only takes a second to look at that and think, okay, that's a seriously aggressive cutout on the bottom, that's a seriously aggressive racer. That's not really meant for comfort, or is it? And that is what Mizuno have done amazingly here. I think that they found a way to somehow make a super aggressive racing shoe that's over the legal stack height in the middle, and it's got this crazy super lightweight mesh upper, but also then to somehow at the same time make it this really comfy shoe. So the heel collar is sick. I love the heel collar. It's super comfy. It's got padding around the very top. It almost reminds me of the upper that you see in the Adios Pro Evo, where it's like a thin layer of mesh the whole way around. So other than this heel collar bit, inside it's almost just mesh, and there's very little support. At the back of the heel, however, you do have quite a rigid little bit of support there, which I found is really helpful and doesn't pressurize my heel too much, which I'm really grateful for, because I think that that would be a real pain. And speaking of aggressiveness, look at that heel. Look at that thing. I mean, I'm holding the shoe flat and the heel ends up here, and that is a sensation that definitely takes a moment to get used to, but you'd be really, really surprised about how this shoe feels when you're running it and the responsiveness of it. I talked in my last video about how I thought that the Super Blast was just a clopping shoe, and someone even said that they felt like it was slapping the ground, and that's exactly how I feel. To use a word that rhymes a bit with that, I think that this shoe snaps against the ground in the best way possible, and that snap comes from, I think, almost where this cutout is, in the very center of the shoe. I feel as though as a 4-foot striker, I actually get a little bit more out of this shoe when I'm getting tired and I start to fall back into the center of my foot and I'm not quite on my toes as much, and I start getting around mile 15, mile 16, you know, you start getting really, really worn out. And once you get to that point and I'm falling a little bit deeper on the shoe, all of a sudden I feel as though I'm getting something more, and the rockered geometry of the shoe, which there absolutely is signified in this heel, is really, really working then, sort of as I get a bit more tired. The heel is almost this complementary element where it's saying, don't fall right here, but fall somewhere just before it, as just, even if you're a heel striker, just as slightly further forward as you can, and we'll bounce you forward. We'll take care of that part. If you can just not fall on this very back heel, this shoe is going to sort out the rest of the propulsiveness of that step, and it is going to snap forward. And it does feel quite firm as well with the plate. There's definitely that firmness to it. Despite the massive stack height, it's not a super, super soft, melty shoe. But as I said, this shoe is very much about balance. And the serious balance comes in the trade-offs that you have to make with this shoe to be this really fine-tuned, really snappy, really comfortable shoe. So this shoe can't handle tight, winding routes, and that includes on the road. And that is why I would say that this is one of the best marathon racing shoes that I've ever ran in, because I would even worry about taking this shoe on the track. I don't feel as though it's massively stable. I think this cutout punishes the shoe. The division into here means that anyone that is pronating or supinating is going to struggle, and you do feel it when stepping in. And this section of foam here is super thin. Now, you never really notice it while running, but you almost feel as though if you were to totally lean on this part of your shoe here, say you rolled your ankle a little bit, you'd be in trouble. And so I would worry about taking this shoe on the track. I would worry about taking this shoe through crazy windy streets. In the Liverpool half marathon, in which I didn't quite PB in, but I ran a pretty decent race, as I was struggling towards the end, the cobblestone section, about a kilometre from the finish line, was hell in these shoes. These shoes are not meant to deal with that. And I was having to use so much muscle power trying not to roll an ankle in these shoes on those cobbles. Now, I'm not sure cobblestone should have been an official half marathon route, but that's by the by. I was struggling in these. And so for anything that isn't a really optimized road route, they're not great. You're never, ever gonna run a trail in these. And if you are a total psychopath, and I'm really worried for you. So no trails, no stability, no agility. That is what the shoe has to throw out the window. But by proxy, the balance comes back into it. These shoes can give you stuff that not many others can. Here's where I want to talk about running shoe reviews. These running shoes have become sentimental to me. I've run 2 of my best races ever and had some of my best training sessions ever in these shoes. So I love them. I don't want these shoes to run dry. It's quite hard to find another pair. I don't fancy running in another carbon plated shoe anytime soon. For my next race, I'd be more than happy to use these, even though they are approaching 200 kilometers in use. So I feel a lot of love for these shoes. Having those amazing times that I've had in these shoes means that I do like them a little bit more than I probably should, and I do have a bit of a soft spot for them. And I've tried other carbon plated shoes since, and they've not worked the same. And that's because I have the sentimental value of this shoe. I've got all of these moments, these fragments, these memories of times that I absolutely have just adored running in these shoes. And I don't want that to be something that I'm going to take away from a running shoe review just because I should, because it's better to be about the numbers, it's better to be about the stack height and the stack height tricks and the drop, which is 6mm. Sorry, I don't think I said that. I think it's 6mm anyway. The drop, the foam, what kind of substance, that's all important. But I feel as though what's important as well is to understand, well, what's my lived experience in this shoe? And I'm not saying that you're going to go and run your first marathon in this shoe, or that you're going to go and run one of your best half marathon times in this shoe, like I did. But what I am saying is that this shoe's been amazingly enjoyable for me. I've loved it. I've really enjoyed running in it, and I want to keep running in it. And I think that those experiences that I've had in Manchester and in Liverpool, where I've worn these shoes and had an amazing experience where I've been surrounded by friends and other runners and family, and you know, let me have that in these shoes. That's a little bit of soul in the sole, you know, like that's what makes these a little bit magic on race day. And I bring that with me to the start line. When I was lining up for Manchester, I had all the past experiences riding with me, because I was like, yeah, you know, I've done this in this shoe, I've done this in this shoe, I'm feeling good, I've already run this pace, you know, as we all tell each other, so it's gonna be fine. You know, you tell that to yourself in your brain all the time. And I had already ran that pace, and I had loved running that pace in this shoe. And so I'm gonna keep talking about how I personally love this shoe because of the experiences I've had in it. And I think that's fair enough. And I think that's the kind of angle that I want to bring on this channel, where it might not be all about numbers. It might just be about vibes. And speaking of vibes, this is one of the sickest colorways I've ever seen on a running shoe ever. I'll see you in a bit. Give it a like, and I'm nearly at 10 subs, please. That would be awesome. See ya.